those who don't know, I set myself an ASMR challenge to post an ASMR video every day of March, which I actually was doing okay at, and then the past couple days I just needed some time because things were very busy over here. I've been a busy bee. But anyways, enough about me. I hope that you guys are doing okay and that you've been alright over the past couple days. If you've not been okay, then I hope that there are good times waiting right around the corner for you. No matter if you are struggling or if you are experiencing joy, everyone is welcome here, and we can all take this time to relax and to slow down and to reflect and just have a little fun, check in with each other. I actually have a notebook in front of me. It looks like this. It looks like this. Very glittery and nature themed. Lots of blues and greens. This is the notebook that I use for writing down one, just one or more good thing that happened each day. I then tear up the piece of paper, or I rip it out from the notebook, and then I fold the piece of paper and I put it in a large jar. So basically this jar is going to be filled with lots of good things and small or big wins that happened. I spoke about this routine briefly in one of my other ASMR videos, where I was talking to you about my new morning routine for 2026. This is a repeat of that, but I won't spend too much time explaining it. I'm just going to take this time to catch up on the days that I have missed and run out of time to write something down. And I thought it would be a nice way to catch up with you and to tell you what I've been up to over the past week, as I write down small or big good things that happened on each day. I'm just trying to find a blank page. So, I think I actually have a week's worth of these to write. And we are going to start with Friday the 13th of March. I'm just going to write that down. I'd usually use a pen, but I'm going to use a pencil for some nicer writing sounds. so much joy during my train home from DJ course. I was planning what songs would go well together, and it gave me such a buzz. The journey went by so quickly. Yes. I mentioned about this in a couple of my other ASMR videos, but I overcame my fears and decided to start a new DJ course, which is something that I've never done before. I did an introduction, like a day-long introduction into DJing a few years ago, but that just lasted a couple hours. Let me just turn my computer on, because it helps to light up one half of my face. Yes, and I was really nervous to do this course, and I was thinking about how it would go and if I would be able to handle it, but I actually did do it. I'll speak about the completion of that course a little bit later in the video, but on Friday the 13th of March I was around halfway through this course, because it was a 2-week course, and I just remember feeling so much joy when I was on the train home from the course. I just had so much energy, and I was planning all of the songs that I wanted to play during my performance at the end of the course, because everyone had to do a 10-minute DJ performance, which is crazy. So I was just planning what songs I might like to use and how I would mix them together and how I would transition between the different songs. And I was just feeling so much excitement listening to my music and researching what the key or the BPM, the tempo of the songs were, and then kind of making loads of notes on my phone. That train journey went by very, very quickly. It felt like 5 minutes, because time passes when you're having fun, and I was really having so much fun. I think the people around me were a bit like, what is this person doing? Because I was literally like bopping away with my headphones on, and then I would look up to like analyze the songs, and then I would really quickly type in my phone notes and ideas. I think the people around me probably thought I was under the influence of something. I just had like so much energy, but it's a good thing. I feel very grateful that something made me feel that much enjoyment for something. That's what I feel about that. I feel like it's been a while since something made me feel that passion and that excitement, so I was just feeling very grateful for that, and that is my small win or good thing that happened on Friday the 13th of March. say Saturday the 14th, but I genuinely cannot remember what I did last Saturday. I know that probably sounds bizarre, but I actually cannot remember. So I'm gonna have to skip Saturday, but I do have one for Sunday the 15th, so I will just write that out now. Very curly piece of paper, this one. So I wrote for Sunday the 15th of March. The Mother's Day meal was very tasty. Tram was busy but didn't feel anxious. Survived the spicy food. So, as a Mother's Day treat, I met up with my sister, my parents, and my dad's parents, and we celebrated Mother's Day together and went for a meal at a... One second. I'm just trying to remember what the name of the cuisine was. I want to make sure that I get it right. Indian restaurant. Yes. Oh, my stomach. My stomach always starts making noises the minute I record. It's like we're having a little battle with each other. Anyways, yeah, we went to an Indian restaurant which serves modern Indian cuisine amid elegant surroundings and stained glass windows. Yeah, it's a really cool place to eat. And do you know what? I'm not going to look at the pictures of the food because my stomach is going to make more noises. But yeah, it was really, really tasty, which is why I wrote that as one of the good things that happened that day. And I also feel quite proud of myself because quite a long time ago we met up and ate at that very same restaurant, and I think I remember feeling quite anxious. I'm not really sure why. I think I was was just anxious about everything in general, and the food was quite spicy. The Indian cuisine, it's very nice, but some of the dishes are spicier than others. And I think because I was so anxious and it was probably a warm day, the more I ate the spicy food, the more anxious I got, because I was like, my thoughts were just racing, like, I need water, I'm gonna choke, I can't eat any more spicy food, I want to eat something so that my energy levels are okay, but I'm struggling to digest the spice. Am I dehydrated? Am I too warm right now? Should I stop eating? You know what I mean? Like, my thoughts were just going crazy over nothing, and I think sometimes I do get more anxious when I'm eating in public because I'm like analysing everything that's going on around me. I'm not sure if that is an autism or an ADHD thing or just like a social anxiety thing, maybe. And then to add to that, I do struggle with health anxiety and OCD. So basically just a lot of things that I struggle with were being triggered in that moment, and I think I was just feeling a bit frustrated about it and the fact that the anxiety was taking away the enjoyment of the food. But this time we went back to that restaurant and I handled it. I ate the spicy food. To be honest, I mainly went for the dishes that were very mild. Which were very nice. It was really nice, I have to say. Even the spicy dishes were good. Saying that as someone who doesn't tend to get a lot of like spicy food. Yeah, and I feel proud of myself for surviving and for acknowledging that I have improved in my anxiety, because I didn't feel as anxious this time round. You know, I plowed through the spice. And also, the tram was really busy, so we got the tram to the place where the restaurant is, and it was Mother's Day. There was some St. Patrick's Day celebrations and parades happening, so there were people on the tram for that reason. There was also a football match, I believe, or a cricket match. So there were a lot of people getting public transport, and it was busy. But you know what? I didn't feel anxious, and as someone who gets quite anxious on public transport, I'm quite surprised that I didn't experience anxiety. I don't know if I was just tired. To be honest, I probably was quite tired because I've been staying up quite late every day for the past week. But yeah, I just definitely consider that a win for me. So that is the small win from Sunday the 15th of March. I've rolled it up again into a little piece of paper. Paper. Little piece of paper. Okay. Monday, the 16th of March. Monday, the 16th of March. It was the 16th of March, I wrote, "It was sunny, and I was listening to music with Frutiger Aero vibes. I was looking at the city buildings and the blue skies and enjoying the Frutiger Aero moment." I've just rolled that one up. Yeah, Frutiger Arrow. It's like, you know, when digital technology was first becoming a thing, and there was that very like green and blue Windows interface and a specific set of fonts that were out at that time, and it was kind of like a promise of what the future would be because all of this new technology was coming out. The future would be depicted as like this very blue and green space with lots of white, really modern, really clean buildings. It's like, I don't know, an aesthetic and a point in time, but it's also considered a genre of music as well. And I love listening to music that makes me think of Frutiger Arrow. It is spelled Frutiger. Frutiger. A-E-R-O. Frutiger Arrow. And I just had a moment that felt like something from those Frutiger Arrow videos that you sometimes see on YouTube. It was beautiful blue skies and like modern city buildings in the distance, but not too many buildings, just one or two really tall, like office type buildings, and there was green everywhere, and it just, yeah, it had the Frutiger Arrow vibes, and the music that I was listening to reminded me of the genre of music that is associated with this aesthetic. So it was just a really nice moment, and it's a very small, simple one, but sometimes really small things can count as wins or good things that happened from each day. So I like to write those little ones down as well as bigger achievements. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, I was on Tuesday the 17th. Okay, there's a lot for this one, okay. DJing for a while. Might have not been perfect, but it was nice to finally understand what we had been learning. The trains were cancelled in the evening, and I was so tired and weak. I managed to walk all the way to the other station and survive the station and problem solving. If I could do all that walking whilst feeling that weak, like I was about to collapse, I can do anything. Lots of different vibes going on in this one. I am quite a slow learner. At school, it always took me a lot longer to grasp certain concepts in comparison to my classmates, but my skill is that I think I'm quite a detailed person, so when I do eventually grasp something, I then hone in on that subject and I try to do everything that I can to learn as much as I can, so it takes me a while to catch up, but when I do catch up, I go the extra mile, if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, so I think that this week, to be completely honest, I had some moments of frustration and overwhelm because there was a lot to take in during this DJ course, and I felt like I just wasn't getting it. I was struggling to press all of the buttons at the same time, and it kind of felt like something wasn't clicking, but I didn't know what wasn't clicking. I knew that I needed help with something, but I didn't know what my questions were, if that makes sense. And yeah, but there was a point during the day where one of the course leaders had some one-to-one time with me and did a little demo using the songs that I had downloaded. And when they did this demo for me, everything made sense all of a sudden. It's like, I don't know, I think maybe just watching them mixing songs that I already knew might have made something click. There's a fly. And when we finished our one-to-one, because I suddenly had that click where I finally understood everything that we had been learning, I just freestyled DJing for like, I don't know if it was half an hour, maybe less than that, but yeah, just like going from song to song and like pressing all of the buttons and like sliding all of the faders and just like using all of the stuff on the deck. Like, I don't know, like I went from being very frustrated and overwhelmed to suddenly getting it and then being able to just continuously DJ. So yeah, it was really nice to finally get that click and for things to make sense in my brain. And oh gosh, that was such a day. Oh my goodness. I mentioned this in a post, like a written post that I put on my YouTube channel. I've had so many train cancellations and difficulties with public transport over the past week. I think there was one day where I finished my course at around 4 o'clock in the evening and I got home around 8 o'clock, so 4 hours later, because I walked all the way to the train station and then the train was delayed and I waited there for an hour, and then I found out that all of the trains had been cancelled, so I had to quickly problem solve and find a different train journey to take where I could still get home, so then I had to walk all the way to the other side of the city to get a different train journey from a different station, and I try to avoid that specific station at all costs because I've had a lot of anxiety attacks there, so it's something that makes me feel very apprehensive. So I walked all the way there and then I waited there, and because the trains don't run as often on that journey, I then had to wait even longer for the next train, and that train journey was like an hour and 20 minutes because it's quite a long journey, that one. And then got a lift home from the station to home. So anyways, it just took so long to get home that day, and I was feeling probably the most fatigued and the most weak that I've ever felt on that day. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but when I noticed my body starting to feel weak, my anxiety spikes because it triggers my OCD. And I'm not going to speak about it too much, but there was a point where I was like sat down outside a couple minutes away from the new train station where I was going to be coming home from, and I just felt like I was about to collapse. Like, I didn't feel dizzy, I just felt like my whole body was weak, and I felt like I couldn't keep my head up. Like, my head just felt really heavy and my eyes were like I just remember staring into this river. There was like a river in front of the bench where I was sat, and just being like, I have no idea how I'm gonna get home. Like, I have no idea how I'm gonna find the energy to finish this walk to the train station and get on that really long train journey home. But do you know what? I did it. I survived. I completed the walk. I did find energy from somewhere. I did get home eventually. I was able to problem solve in the moment and just pull myself through it. It was just like, it was really, really difficult and I felt really weak, but I just pulled myself through it, hoping that I would feel better when I got home. And I'm very pleased to say that I did get home and I did rest and felt better, and I feel so proud of myself for... I was not expecting to get emotional. I'm trying to film an ASMR video and I'm here like, I don't know if I would consider myself an emotional person, so this is quite weird. Sorry. I feel like because of my anxiety and OCD, I stop myself from doing so many things, like hobbies that I used to love, like dancing, doing physical activity, just like getting out of the house. I feel like OCD has made some of these things feel impossible, and the fact that during a moment that would be very triggering for my OCD and health anxiety because I felt so weak, the fact that I was able to walk to the other side of the city whilst feeling that exhausted and get myself home and problem solve when all the trains were cancelled, and I managed to face that train station that I always try to avoid, and I didn't have an anxiety attack at the train station, probably because I was just too tired to have one. And yeah, I don't know, I feel quite shocked that I was able to get through that day, and I feel like it really proved to myself how capable I am, or that you know, sometimes your thoughts can lie to you about all of the things that you think you can't do, but when you put your mind to it, you're actually so much more capable than you believe. You know, like, I didn't know that I had that strength in me. I don't want it to sound like I'm being too dramatic, but I really was like... Anyways, I'm not going to speak about it too much, but yeah, I just... If you told my younger self that I survived that day, I wouldn't have believed you. So I consider that to be a very big win. I was not expecting to get emotional there. It's very interesting. Okay. Apologies. This piece of paper is a little bit longer. Doesn't want to focus. Hello. A little bit longer than the other ones. Okay, we've just got 2 more, or 3 if I count today. Yeah. Okay, Thursday, the 18th of March. So, for Thursday, the 18th of March, I put, someone said I seem like a great person to talk to and opened up about deep stuff to me. Although I got emotional about feeling underprepared, I pulled myself through, continued working, and somehow made the impossible possible, and practiced my finished set in front of one of the course leaders. I didn't give up, and I turned things around. So, what do I mean by that one? I'm really sorry to talk about emotional things. Again, I like these videos to be uplifting and calming, but you know, I think I've mentioned this in the past, but sometimes I will choose to open up about personal or mental health related things because I acknowledge that sometimes that kind of content can actually be quite comforting for other people who are maybe going through similar things, and you know, I just like these videos to feel very natural and to feel like a deep rambly chat with a friend. I mean, not to feel like that, but to actually be that, right? We're having a little ramble with each other and we're all friends here, so yes, there was, to be honest, I feel a bit embarrassed about it, but there was a day on the course where someone asked how I was feeling about my DJ performance, and I think sometimes when you're in a state of overwhelm and you already feel like you're kind of on the edge, and then someone asks if you're okay, it can just be the thing that makes the flood of tears come out, right? I mean, I wouldn't say it was a flood of tears because I like really tried to compose myself, but yeah, I got a bit emotional on the Thursday. I just felt really underprepared, and I was supposed to perform my DJ set the next day, and it took me quite a long time to grasp how to DJ, which is one thing, and then the second thing is when I finally understood what I was doing, it took me a really long time to plan my set, the songs that I would use in those 10 minutes, the transitions that I would use, the special effects that I would use, looping, all of these like DJ terms and buttons and things. Yeah, I changed my mind quite a few times on what songs I wanted to include, so it ended up being the day before the performance. I had only just finished curating my set list, and then because I only just finished creating it, I hadn't practiced it from start to finish once, and I was supposed to perform my set in the afternoon to one of the course leaders so that they could give me advice on what I needed to improve on, but I was like, I don't have a performance to give because I've not like practiced the thing once because I've only just finished planning it out, if you know what I mean. And I think as someone who likes a plan, this was quite an overwhelming experience, and I just didn't know how to fix the situation. I was trying to practice, but it was taking me a really long time to practice the transition from one song into the other, and I had to keep rewinding. And I was like, you know, there was a point where I wasn't sure if I had to pull out of the course and not do the performance on the last day, and that was a thought that made me quite upset because I had experienced so much joy during the first half of the course, like the train journey that I was telling you about earlier on in this video. I just had so much energy and I really got such a buzz from learning how to DJ, and then I was like, are you kidding me? Am I gonna pull out on the last day? But I didn't. Spoiler alert. I did not. And I somehow managed to go from that state of overwhelm. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I have so much to catch you up on. That day was crazy. I was already feeling so like underprepared, and then I guess stressed out because of that and like the time crunch and everything. And then we had to practice in pairs using different studios. There were like a couple decks lying around in this room, and we kind of took it in turns in our pairs to use the different decks. And the decks that we were given, how do I explain this? Basically, some DJs can do this thing where they create bookmarks for themselves in the songs. It's like these little coloured lines and squares and letters that appear as the song is playing on the decks, and these bookmarks help to remind you when to bring a new song in or when to use a special effect and stuff like that. I love color-coded systems for like remembering things, so when I used that system, it really helped me a lot. However, some of the decks don't allow you to see all of the bookmarks that you've created because cheaper decks only have 4 hot cues, which is just like another way of saying the bookmarks. More expensive decks have like up to 8, and then I think you can like make more than 8, but anyways, so the first deck that we practiced on only had 4 like bookmark spaces, and I stayed up the entire night making multiple bookmarks for all of my songs, and suddenly I could not see all of these bookmarks, so I was already feeling so behind, and then I had to rapidly get a computer out and change all of the formatting and the bookmarks that I had made for these songs. I had to change everything that I stayed up all night doing. I think that also threw me off quite a bit. I'm like, no wonder why I was overwhelmed. And then when we had to switch to a different deck or a different room, practice room, we landed on one of the most confusing DJ decks I have ever seen in my life. Usually DJ decks have a little screen on them where you can see the songs that are playing and all of your bookmarks, and you know, you use that screen to load up your next song and to go through your playlist. But this deck did not have a screen, but it was hooked up to a massive computer, and instead of pressing buttons on the deck, you had to press buttons using the mouse and the keypad on this computer, and this was when I was like at my most overwhelmed state. Oh my gosh, it was such a day, honestly. I'm like, I need to give myself more not validation, but I think I need to forgive myself for getting emotional. I feel really embarrassed about it, and like, you know, the person who was asking if I was okay, I think was just expecting a very light-hearted conversation, and then I was there like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I feel very apologetic towards that person, but like when I reflect on all of the things that happened that day and the fact that I also had like 3 hours of sleep every night that week, sorry, I just had a sense of deja vu there. That was really weird. Deja vu is such a weird feeling. Anyways, yeah, I should, give myself a pat on the back, because I think anyone would crumble in that situation. Yeah, but you know what? I pulled through. I spent the morning reformatting everything. I basically stayed over during lunch and just had some solo time on the decks to figure out what I was going to do. I went from start to finish in a very methodical way, and I talked to myself. I just talked myself through every song from like beginning to end. Okay, I'm gonna play this here, I'm gonna use this transition, I'm gonna press this button, I'm gonna turn that wheel that way or that way, and I just like went through it step by step, slowly, with like full concentration, and then I just did that over and over again until I didn't need to talk out loud to myself anymore, and I just ended up finally practicing the set that I wanted to perform the next day. And I then practiced it once, I practiced it twice, I practiced it 3 times, and then like I didn't need to look at my notes anymore because it just became second nature to me. And then after the lunch break, I performed my piece, my performance, in front of one of the course leaders, and they were like, "It's great, like you don't need to change much." And I was like, to this day, I have no idea how I was able to pull through. It's kind of like the day where there was all the train cancellations, right? It's like the version of me that was experiencing the overwhelm could not imagine getting through it and seeing the other side, but the future version of me knows that I was able to get through it. So yeah, that's what I mean when I said that I was somehow managed to make the impossible possible. I didn't give up, I just kept working away at it, and I eventually managed to create something out of nothing. And yeah, I feel very proud of myself for that, and I'm trying to forgive myself for getting a bit emotional in a public space. I think I try very hard to compose myself in front of other people, but sometimes we just get overwhelmed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, let me just roll that one up. And yeah, even though I'm talking about some difficult things right now, I did genuinely, when I wasn't overwhelmed, I did genuinely really enjoy this course, and I'm really glad that I decided to do it, because I really, like, I don't know, it just made me feel my spark and my, like, passion again. One of my biggest regrets in life is not taking my passion for music seriously at school, and then not studying it, and for over a decade now, that regret has haunted me. So later on in life, I'm trying to reignite that passion or that interest, and yeah, I feel really grateful to actually be studying the thing that the younger version of me always wanted to study. So yeah. Okay, the last one, Friday the 20th. song, I remembered everything. Oh, just hit me elbow. Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I need to like explain that one, but yeah, I officially performed, or like I DJ'd for an audience for the first time, and to go from not practicing my set once and feeling so overwhelmed and, you know, struggling to just taking a long time to understand how DJing works, to then go from the next day somehow managing to bring everything together and performing an entire set to an audience and doing it from start to finish and playing every single song that I had planned and remembering everything. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, I did make a couple mistakes, but I think those mistakes are things that you only really know that they would happen once they happen, if that makes sense. Like, my arm, when I was reaching for a button on the decks, my arm accidentally touched the disc or the wheel, which rewinds and fast forwards through a song. It's like if you scratch it, it makes that scratch sound. That, you know, that like stereotypical sound that we often think of when we hear the word DJ, like wicka wicka, you know. I accidentally moved that wheel disc when I was reaching for a button, so whilst a song was playing, it accidentally made that scratch sound. But other than that, I pretty much remembered to do everything, and again, like, that mistake is something that I would never have thought would happen until it happened. So sometimes you have to experience things to know what to do differently next time, right? But yeah, I did it, and I had to overcome a lot of anxiety. And yeah, I mean, I guess this one is like what it says on the tin, right? Let me just roll this one up. There's that one. I have a little bit of ripped up paper left from the page that I was using, so I'm gonna actually create one more thing to put in my jar, which will be today's small win. Oh gosh, do you know what? Getting a big sleep, I'm not gonna lie, having a good sleep is probably a small win from today. Yeah, one of the reasons why I didn't post for ASMaRch for the past couple of days was just because of, you know, a lack of sleep and getting home very late, train cancellations, just exhaustion, really. But I've definitely caught up on sleep over the weekend. So we're back for ASMaRch. I'm very pleased to say it's really nice to be with you guys again. Okay. I feel like I could probably write about other stuff for this one. Okay. Something. Oh, need something for one of my other ones. I was just adding that on the Friday, someone complimented me on something, and I just really appreciated the kind words and feedback that they gave me, and it gave me a confidence boost. So I was just deciding to include that on yesterday's win. Okay, back to Saturday. Okay, for the small win from today, I wrote Saturday the 21st of March, researching more into how to make mixes or mashups of songs / how to mix in general, because I've discovered mixing songs together is something I really enjoyed from the DJ course. Nice to find something / a new path that could really suit me and feel passion for that, and having the motivation to learn. I drew a little face with glasses on. Don't know if you can see that. A little emoji drawing. Yes. As I kind enjoyed the most was planning my set and finding out what songs mix well together because of their key signatures, the notes that they use, or because of the tempos, the BPMs, the beats per minute that they use, and things like taking the instrumental from one song and then the vocals from another song and putting them on top of each other to create a completely new piece of music. I think that aspect of DJing, the planning and the preparing and mashing up songs together to create something new, I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. And although this is definitely a big part of DJing, there's a lot more that kind of changes what DJing is about, right? So like it's kind of like you're editing music live in the moment. How people will spend hours creating a new piece of music using softwares on their computer. DJs do that, but in real time to an audience. And I think there was a part of me that was like, if only there was a way to combine the parts of DJing which I loved the most, which is planning and preparing songs that go well together and thinking of all the ways that they can be mashed up with each other, taking that aspect with the part of my personality that likes a plan, that likes to spend a lot of time working on and perfecting something before it goes out to an audience, which is, it's basically just like a more planned version of DJing. Some DJs do plan out their sets, but if a DJ is like performing for like 7 hours, if they're doing like a club night or a festival or something, you would go crazy if you planned out your entire set. So a lot of DJs improvise. So it's like, again, just like editing music in real time. Again, like this is my first time learning how to DJ in 2 weeks, right? So I have to give myself a bit of credit. I think if I practiced for years, I would probably be at the point where I can improvise, that kind of thing. But because I like a plan and I like perfecting things, but I really like certain aspects of DJing, it made me research more into what like career paths or hobbies would involve these different aspects of myself. And I found out, I guess through conversation and my own research, that the role of a music mixing and mastering engineer might be a good position for me. So when people record music, there are people who their job is to make sure that everything is edited correctly so that it's ready to be broadcasted and published for the world to see. So things like adjusting volume levels of vocals or adjusting the EQ settings of vocals, and I guess this can also go into music production as well. And yeah, I think as someone who spends a lot of time perfecting things, I can see how that field of work would be of interest to me. So I just spent some time today educating myself music mixing and mastering techniques. I love watching YouTube videos where people mix together popular songs. Like for example, I watch quite a lot of like K-pop mashups, so people will spend lots of time mashing up a couple different K-pop songs and then blending them into one piece of music, and I've always found that so fascinating how people are able to do that. So I'm kind of using what I learned on the DJ course along with some extra research that I'm doing now to learn how to make these mixes. I think that's something that I would really enjoy. So yeah, I guess my small win or like good thing from today that happened or something that I'm grateful for is discovering a new subject of interest, a new career path to go down, learning about something that brings me joy, feeling passion for something, having the motivation to learn, to spend my weekend like learning about something new. Yeah, that would be my small win from today. Hello. A fly has joined us. Let me just roll that one up. I have a feeling that this video might be quite long, so I do apologise for that. I've rolled this one up in quite a funny way, but there we go. Those are all of my little pieces of paper, and I will put these in my little positivity jar. I think we had quite a lot of deep chats in this ASMR catch-up video. I hope that some of it could be healing or comforting in some way, and I don't want this to sound preachy, but I feel inspired to say, if there's anyone out there going through a difficult time where you can't see the other side or you can't see how you're going to get through it, I had so many of those moments this week. But I did pull through, and I did find a way through, even though I couldn't see it or predict it in the moment. I was eventually able to get through it and see the other side. So I really hope that some of the stories that I shared with you today can give some encouragement to anyone out there who might be going through a hard time and you just don't know which way things are gonna go. But yeah, again, I don't want to sound preachy there because there are so many different things that people are going through, and I understand. I understand that when you're struggling with something, sometimes you don't always want to hear someone saying it's going to be okay. You know, everyone has different ways of coping through things, but yeah, I just wanted to share some of those personal things with you, in the hopes of providing some hope, but not in a forceful way. Yeah, thank you so much for spending this time with me. Again, I apologize for missing the past couple days of ASMaRch, but sometimes we just have to give ourselves a chance to rest